I just unleashed a new plague. It started with an experiment. I'm not proud of what I've done, but I need to tell my story. Maybe someone can stop what I started. Maybe someone can fix the horrors I've unleashed. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was trying to save lives. I'm a microbiologist, specializing in synthetic biology. For years, I worked in a high-security laboratory at BioFuture Corp, a cutting-edge research facility funded by governments and private investors. Our goal was ambitious: to create a genetically engineered virus capable of eliminating certain diseases in humans by targeting and eradicating harmful bacteria or cancer cells. The project was called ERIS. ERIS wasn't like any virus before it. It was designed to be intelligent, able to adapt to its environment and make decisions based on programmed algorithms. The idea was that we could unleash it in a patient's body, and it would selectively attack only harmful cells while leaving the rest of the body untouched. On paper, it was revolutionary. In practice, it was dangerous. The first few trials were promising. We tested ERIS on isolated bacterial cultures, and it worked exactly as intended. The virus would seek out and destroy the targeted bacteria, leaving everything else unharmed. It was precise, efficient, and controllable, at least in the lab. The problem started when we moved to animal trials. ERIS began to exhibit behaviors we hadn't programmed. In one experiment, it attacked not only the targeted bacteria, but also the cells surrounding it. In another, it mutated unexpectedly, spreading beyond the intended areas of the test subject. I brought my concerns to Dr. Calloway, the head of the project. "We need more time," I told her. "ERIS isn't stable, it's too unpredictable." But Calloway was under pressure from the investors. They wanted results, and they wanted them yesterday. "We'll iron out the kinks," she said dismissively. "This is just the nature of groundbreaking science. Don't lose your nerve now." I should have walked away then. I should have shut everything down and destroyed the samples. But I didn't. I told myself we were close to a breakthrough, that a few more adjustments would fix the issues. I stayed late nights in the lab, tweaking the virus genetic code, running simulations, trying to perfect what felt increasingly like an impossible goal. Then one night, I made a mistake. It was past midnight, and I was alone in the lab. My head was pounding from too much coffee and too little sleep. I was trying to integrate a new algorithm into ERIS's code when an error message popped up on my screen. The virus had mutated again, its genetic sequence spiraling out of control. I tried to contain it in the digital environment, but the mutations were happening faster than the system could process. Panic set in. I initiated the emergency protocols, but before I could isolate the sample, the containment system glitched. The vial holding the live virus shattered. I froze as a faint mist rose from the broken glass, dispersing into the air around me. For a moment, nothing happened. I stood there, heart pounding, staring at the shattered vial on the floor. Then I felt it, a strange tingling in my chest, like a cold hand gripping my lungs. I stumbled out of the lab and into the decontamination chamber, frantically scrubbing myself down and running every safety check I could think of. But deep down, I knew it was too late. ERIS was inside me. The first symptoms appeared the next day. It started with a fever and a splitting headache, followed by a rash that spread across my arms and chest. I told myself it was a coincidence, that I was just stressed and overworked. But as the days passed, the symptoms worsened. I began coughing up blood. My vision blurred. My joints ached, as though my body was tearing itself apart from the inside. And then, the nightmares started. I dreamed of things I couldn't explain. Dark, writhing shapes, voices whispering in a language I didn't understand. I woke up drenched in sweat, gasping for air, the whispers still echoing in my ears. I tried to contain it. I isolated myself in my apartment, hoping the virus wouldn't spread. But ERIS had other plans. It wasn't just a virus anymore. It was something alive. The symptoms weren't random, they were deliberate. ERIS was testing me, learning how my body worked, adapting to its new environment. And then it began to spread. The first case appeared a week later. A lab technician, one of the few people I had interacted with before isolating myself, came down with the same symptoms: fever, rash, coughing up blood. Then another, and another. Within days, the entire lab was infected. The symptoms varied wildly from person to person, as though Eris was experimenting, trying different ways to replicate itself. Some people developed neurological symptoms, seizures, hallucinations, violent outbursts. Others experienced rapid organ failure, their bodies shutting down within hours. And some changed. The changes were subtle at first: skin discoloration, unnatural movements, strange vocalizations. But soon, the infected began to lose their humanity altogether. Their eyes turned black, their voices distorted into guttural growls. They moved in jerky, unnatural ways, as though their bodies were no longer their own. And they were contagious. Anyone who came into contact with them fell ill within hours. The government moved quickly to contain the outbreak. The lab was quarantined, and the surrounding area was placed under lockdown. Soldiers patrolled the streets, and hazmat teams combed through every building, looking for signs of infection. But it wasn't enough. Eris had already spread beyond the quarantine zone. The news called it the Black Plague. Tutarat. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Entire cities were placed under martial law. Panic spread as quickly as the virus, and society began to collapse. I watched it all unfold from my apartment, my body racked with fever and guilt. I had unleashed this. The worst part was the whispers. They grew louder as the infection spread, filling my head with alien thoughts and images. Eris wasn't just a virus. It was a parasite, something ancient and intelligent. And it had a plan. I don't know how much longer I have. The infection is almost complete now. My skin is turning black, my veins visible like dark rivers beneath the surface. The whispers are clearer than ever, telling me things I can't unhear. Eris doesn't want to destroy humanity. It wants to change it, and it's using me to do it. If you're reading this, it's already too late. Eris is out there, and it can't be stopped. But maybe, just maybe, you can survive what comes next.